What is up? You know what it is. It is Friday, October 2nd. We are already in October. Time flies when you're having fun. It's your allies behind enemy lines coming to you thoroughly behind enemy territory. A couple Redskin fans, Washington football team fans, Ryan and Joey in Dallas and Austin, holding it down for all our Washington allies out there. We are upon week 4. Luckily, we are not one of the ones being postponed. We get to play this weekend. Don't know how well that's going to go. I guess we'll get into it. Joey, how you doing, man? How's your week been?
And my week's been all right. It's one of those things that, as far as non-football stuff, everything's been falling into place okay. So I can't really complain there. But when you look at our team and, some of the things coming up, as you just said here, who we're playing coming up, it's like, this weekend, this kind of dreading this Sunday to see what happens to our team and the rest of our division.
Yeah, no doubt. We said last week that we kind of wanted to get that victory so we could get back to 2-1 because these next 2 games are a little tough. We got Baltimore this week coming into town, and so I mean they play. We saw how they did against the Chiefs. First off, let's do all the housekeeping. Like, rate, review, subscribe on Apple iTunes for your podcast. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell here on YouTube. Let's get that stuff out of the way. All right, now that we did that, we'll wrap back and get it there at the end. But yeah, we got Baltimore coming into town. They play well against bad teams. I think we fall under that category right now, unfortunately. I don't know if we're a bad team or we're just an underperforming team. Either way, so we got to we got our hands full. Now they slipped up against the Chiefs last week. That's kind of the MO for the last couple of years with Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, is that, like I said, they beat the bad teams. They struggle against the good teams. They might play decently well against the good teams to where you think like, okay, they just got bested today. Not always the case, but we're going to be out Chase Young, top draft pick. We're going to be out Matt Ioannidis the rest of the year. So we lose 2 of our big 6 up front. And that's going to be, that's probably not going to bode well for us if we're going to have to rely a lot on some of these other guys filling in. Obviously, Tim Settle is going to be filling in for Matt Ioannidis there. We brought in Nate Orchard as well to fill in on that defensive line, which he showed some bright spots last year. So I'm excited to see that. But what do you got for your week 4 preview here, Joe, against the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson and company?
Oh, well, there's a lot of things to look at here, a lot of matchups, and I think a lot of them might come in our favor when we really think about it closely. For first and foremost, like you said, the injuries are going to suck. Not having Matt Ioannidis, who I think is the most under appreciated, defensive tackle in all of football. I mean, I think he is, he plays lights out. He was starting to show again how he's going to dominate this year. It was such a tragedy to lose him so early in this year, and on a year that I think he was really going to feast with all the talent he had around him and be able to, the ability to be able to rotate in and out a lot more and keep him fresh. But I think having, Tim Settle, who came in and played great last week, again, we do have Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, a great rotation up there right now as far as, replacing him. And you did mention Nate Orchard, who I was really high on last year, who came over from Miami at the end of the year last year, I think I'm pretty sure it was Miami. And, he was the only player, I think, in the last couple of games that was doing anything on defense. I remember him pressuring and getting pressure on the inside nonstop. You can tell he was a guy playing for a job. And I think he's going to bring that same mentality back this year when, when he gets this opportunity that he has now, when he gets on the field. I really like what he can do for us. So I think their defense might miss a little bit, but I think we're going to be just as dominant, as long as these guys can continue to play well together, and not make a lot of stupid mistakes, penalties, and whatnot. As far as Dwayne Haskins, I would say, I'm sorry, Dwayne Haskins, Lamar Jackson.
Close. It's kind of the same player.
Kind of the same player, One's got an MVP and the other one's can't win a game. But Lamar Jackson, he did have that bad. I think he was exposed a little bit last week by the Chiefs. The creative pass rushing, and I think they said it best though on the Good Morning Football show is that when you have an offense like Patrick Mahomes, you're able to take more risks on defense. You're able to blitz more because if you get burned, your quarterback's going to score in like 2 plays the next time he gets the ball. So you're able to take a lot more defensive risks. But I think in doing that and taking those risks, I think they expose that when you get you get some 2 outside rushers that can control that can contain and not let him get outside the pocket and make some plays. He is not that good inside the pocket. You know, he's not when he's moving around. He's not a straight pocket passer. As much as everyone wants to tell you how great of a passer he is, he is not. He's on that level of being a pocket passer. He's going to need to be able to make, the running game's got to be there for the play action to work. The threat of the run's got to be there for the keep the linebackers up. You know, so a lot of things got to work for Lamar Jackson to be a good passer. So we can do the same thing that taking the same game plan that we took with the Browns, and which we did well at, other than our offense making a lot of mistakes, is to stop that run first and foremost, control that line of scrimmage, and force Lamar Jackson to beat you with his arm. Then I think we might be in a good spot as far as limiting what they can do on offense. As far as the offensive side of the ball, I mean, Dwayne Haskins, and I hate to say it, but it's almost like a make or break game for him. And I don't say win the game. I say how he performs in this game. He needs to be able to show that he has improved from last week. We saw the tune of Ron Rivera change pretty quickly from Sunday to Monday. And I think it's after he talked to a lot of the coaches and maybe some players too. And they did make a good point. I forget what show I was watching on the NFL Network yesterday that, if he goes out there and plays worse or just as bad or worse than he did last week against Cleveland, I think Ron's going to start losing that team. If he doesn't think about changing, that's what you get into. Is you have guys out there that are playing, that defense is playing lights out. You have guys playing way above their potential on the offensive line, and a lot of those offensive positions. But if your quarterback can't even play to potential, then you're going to lose that team.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely see, which I love, is players holding each other accountable. So it's like, hey, I'm out here balling, or I'm out here playing well, and if you're not holding up your end of the bargain, well, then you shouldn't be on the field. We're still wearing the same colors. Yeah, we're still, on the same team. We're teammates. We're grinding together. But if you're not holding up your end of the bargain, let's get somebody in here that is, and that's somebody that will. And so you see that for sure, especially with the veterans, which, we don't have a lot on this team, a ton of veterans, but the ones that have been around and the ones that have been in this grind before, they will expect that, and that'll start to spread. You know what I mean? Even the younger guys that have been around, Jonathan Allen, the Deron Paynes, some of the guys that have been around that perform at a high level. Terry McLaurin, I think he could start falling in that category of a guy that performs week in and week out. And even though he hasn't been in the league a long time or been around for a long time, if, as much as Dwayne Haskins is his boy, I think he's going to be somebody that maybe some of the younger players turn to look to as setting as an example of, hey, this guy's not getting the job done, so we need to get somebody in here that is. But I agree where it's not make or break, but it's going to be kind of a barometer game of seeing where Dwayne can stack up against the good teams, the good defenses, because you got guys like Marlon Humphreys, on this team that are going to be good, that are going to be coming for you. I mean, they have
almost $100 million Humphrey, who I think signed a contract today for.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe he might be slowed down because his pockets are a little fatter. We can only hope, but you know what I mean. There's going to be guys the Ravens have some dudes on that team. Calais Campbell. They have some big time Marcus Peters. They have some big time names on that defense that are going to ball out for them. And so again, this is going to be a big time barometer game for Dwayne Haskins to, like you said, he doesn't have to go out there and throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'd love it if he did, but let's limit it. Let's limit the mistakes. Let's limit the staring down the receivers. Let's limit, the almost interceptions too, where it's close to an interception, and either the DB doesn't make a play on it or something. But we can't have the blatant, just not even reading the defense, just staring down your guy as soon as you break the huddle. The Malcolm Smith interception we talked about last week, where it looked like that's exactly who he was throwing the ball to. We can't have any of those. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we can't have any of that.
Yeah, for sure. If we want any chance of winning this game, we can't have that at all. You know what I mean? And even if we don't win this game, but we keep it close and keep it respectable, I think Vegas has this game at 13.5 points. We're a 13.5 point underdog in this game. Like, you don't see spreads like that in the NFL too often. And when you do, you look at the team that's catching the 13.5 and you're like, oof, maybe you guys need to look in the mirror and see what you're doing wrong to be that big of an underdog. But going back to what you were saying about the offensive side of the ball with Lamar Jackson, you're right. If we can contain him in the pocket, everyone wants to do the double back where it's like, Bill Polian said that this guy should play wide receiver in the NFL. Well, he went out and won an MVP as a quarterback, so obviously he should be a quarterback. He throws the ball well enough. He throws the ball well enough. He doesn't throw the ball well. There is a difference. You can get by with guys that throw the ball well enough. Mitchell Trubisky, I think, is a better pocket passer than Lamar Jackson. Now, he's not very good, but I still think he's better than Lamar Jackson. The only difference is Lamar is a weapon with the ball in his hands. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He finds a way. So, I mean, you look at his top receiving targets, it's Hollywood Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews, and that's really it. Both of those guys, Marquise Brown right now has 12 receptions for just over 150 yards, and then Mark Andrews is number 2 with 9 receptions. So you look at it, I mean, those are their top 2 receivers. A guy that's caught 12 balls in 3 games, another guy's caught 9 balls in 3 games. I mean, that doesn't scream prolific passer to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he's got Willie Snead out there, Miles Boykin, Devin Duvernay, shout out Saxe, Texas, just down the road from me. So he's got some other guys, but they don't have a ton of they don't have anybody that scares me. Marquise Brown, maybe on the go route, that'll worry me a little bit. But other than that, obviously Mark Andrews. This is a big time game for Mark Andrews. If he has a big game at tight end, I won't be shocked because again, when's the last time we covered a tight end? You're gonna be hard pressed to find that game. So if we can make him pass, I know that's the game plan. Make Lamar Jackson beat you with the arm. That's it's not it's not a brain buster there. But if we can contain him in the pocket, but we saw with Kansas City, it is possible. I mean, you can limit him offensively, and if they're not getting that running game going, which again we got burned by the running game with the Browns last week, so we got to play that running game better this week with Mark Ingram and J.K. Dobbins. And then now we have to throw in the variable of you have to guard Lamar Jackson on that run as well. I think that's where the game starts and finishes right here is the running game 1,000%. If we can stop that running game and keep the ball away from them, no doubt, again, not a big brain buster. Don't give the good offense the ball a whole lot. We'll be okay. But it's all about not letting them bleed that clock and not giving them a whole ton of time of possession. And in turn, like we said, hold on to the ball, take care of the ball when we have it, and just try to get points, whether it's 3, whether it's 6, whether it's 7, whatever it is. We got to get points and try to hang with these guys. But it is a tall task, and it's not as easy as it sounds, obviously, because a lot of guys in the NFL haven't been able to find out how to do it. I think we got the blueprint last week with Kansas City. And how they did it. And Kansas City is a very good defense. I think they're very underrated for how good their defense is. But I think our defense could be just right there with them. I mean, yeah, they have the Honey Badger. We have Kendall Fuller in our secondary. Chris Jones. But we have a plethora of guys at that defensive line that can do just the same. So I feel like we could be in a good spot. And it could be a look-ahead game. I don't know who Baltimore plays next week. Let's see who they play next week. I don't know if it's a big-time team or not, but if they play Cincinnati. So, yeah, not a look-ahead spot here where they can get caught looking ahead past us. But I think if we could perform well, it's going to go one of two ways. I think we could either perform well and hang with them, or it's going to be over at halftime. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe over in the third quarter because we came out guns blazing at halftime. So maybe it could be curtains after 3 quarters. But obviously, I'm hoping that's not the case.
Well, I'm hoping that's not the case as well either. But when you have somebody like Lamar Jackson, and he's heard all the doubters this last week, because sheesh, just before last week, everyone was talking about how he's the next coming of Jesus and how who's going to stop the Ravens with that defense and with Lamar Jackson and already looking past Patrick Mahomes. I think a lot of people thought they were going to beat the Chiefs, and but I don't know what this is going to do to Lamar Jackson. Does he feel like he has something to prove now, or is he just going to keep playing his game? And I'm hoping it's the former, where he feels like he has something to prove. That's when I think he feels prone to make the most mistakes. And if we can get Lamar, one thing I noticed about the game when they played the Chiefs. was just how uncomfortable they were on offense. You could just tell throughout the entire time the Ravens were uncomfortable on offense. They were trying, it was overthrowing passes. They couldn't. Every time they got a screen pass, the defender was right in the face of the running back right there to stop them. I think they got one touchdown on a kick return that didn't even really matter in that game. But I texted you that night right after the game, and I was like, we can beat this Baltimore Ravens, and I truly believe that, because I do. You compare the defenses there. I think our defense is head over heels better than that Kansas City Chiefs defense, especially when they're playing at full potential. And even with missing Matt Ioannidis and even missing Chase Young, I still think we're the better defensive team than the Chiefs. Now, as far as the offensive side of the ball, again, we don't have the luxury of being able to put up a lot of points. And I think that's where it comes back to, our running game and Dwayne Haskins and what he can do. And it's just one of those things. As much as we can try to, point the fingers in other directions about what might happen or what may not happen, it's all going to fall back on Dwayne Haskins and what he can do with the ball. Because given the Ravens' game plan, it's just going to be the same as anyone else's. Is make Dwayne Haskins beat you, because he's not going to he throws interceptions, and they have like you said, a stellar secondary and a stellar line. They have a whole stellar defense. I think up till last week, they might have been the best defense in the NFL. And with that, though, they did show a lot of vulnerability, as far as, quick passes and, any kind of misdirection plays. They were selling out and overcommitting. So if we can get anything like that in the offensive game plan, I think that they were exposed on defense as that way as well. So, again, just like you said, it could go a lot of different ways. But I do like our chances of keeping up with them, just because coming off a loss like that, I think we have so much film to study of how they can be exposed more.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, but they definitely can. Again, I think a lot of it boils down to can we contain Mark Andrews, their big tight end. Nate Boyle, even he caught a touchdown against the Chiefs. So can we limit that passing game to the tight ends and make them beat us deep or beat us across the middle with their wide receivers? Because I don't think their wide receivers are very good, other than Marquise Brown. He's a burner. He put on some weight. He's a little bit bigger now, so he can hold his own. But yeah, I mean, that defense is very good. So we're going to have some other guys show up other than just Terry McLaurin in the passing game. We're going to have to see maybe Dontrell Inman, another 2-touchdown game, or get just one touchdown. We're going to have to see some of these guys that we were hyping up, beginning of the season or preseason, to show up. Again, we're still looking for AGG to get involved. Steven Sims didn't practice today, so there's a good chance he's not playing. So maybe there's a possibility for AGG to get in there. Isaiah Wright, let's see if he can get involved a little bit. Get Antonio Gibson involved in the passing game again. Get that running game going at all. It's gotten a little bit better week by week, so that's a positive. But there's going to have to be some dudes that show up other than Terry McLaurin. He's our only guy that you can, set your watch to. He's a set your watch type of player. You set your watch to Terry McLaurin. When that ball is kicked off on Sunday, he's going to ball out. He's going to have a good game. He's even had good games with poor quarterback performance, such like last week. He still had a pretty decent game. But it's going to be tough when you have guys like Marcus Peters covering you, when you have guys like like we mentioned, Marlon Humphrey covering you. It's going to be tough it's going to be tough go for him. So that's why he's going to need some help, whether it's in the slot or on the other side. And again, I agree. If we can get that running game going and maybe get that play action moving a little bit, run a little tempo, maybe, get some timing going down with Dwayne, we might be cooking a little bit. But if we're turning the ball over, if we're if we're not able to execute on first down either, I think that kills us so many times. If we can't not convert on first down, but just move the ball a little bit on first down, those early downs are so critical for our offense, because then we get down 3rd and long and they just play back and play at the sticks and know that we're going to pass the ball. And Dwayne Haskins isn't at that level yet to where you can get that 3rd down and 10 or that 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. And so if that's the case, then we play right in the defense's hands, just like we've seen. Like you said, how the Washington football team has to know how to beat the Washington football team. So we got to be able to counteract that somehow, one way or another. We've mentioned that the last couple weeks. But I don't know. It's one of those where I'm gonna be watching the game like this. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to watch, but maybe something good might happen. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. So that might be this week. Hopefully we're not
no
flipping
expectations.
Over. Yeah.
No expectations.
True. I guess you could say that, no expectations. See, I have some expectations.
Low.
Low. Yeah.
I have low expectations as to not be disappointed. You know, you walk into a game like Sunday thinking we're gonna, oh, this is the game where we come back. You're gonna be in for a bad week. But if you go in there thinking like we just gotta build, we just gotta show some positive progression, and that we can hang with a team like Baltimore, and I think it will do a lot for our quarterback's confidence, a lot for our coaching team's confidence, and and who knows what that might do for the rest of the season. Games like that can really change the course of a season. Now, if Dwayne does go in there and start making a lot of erratic throws, do you keep him in there the entire game, or do you pull him?
Well, see, that's the thing. If you pull him this early in the season,
I mean, just for the game. I'm not saying bench him. I'm saying pull him.
See, I hate that. I guess so. I guess, yeah, probably, because I guess you can say, yeah, we'll bench him for this game, and then assess the situation going forward. I'm not a big fan of like what the Bears did. They benched Trubisky, they pulled him. Nick Foles got in there, and now he's the starter going forward. In the NFL, I think that's kind of what you have to go with. In games like baseball, the NBA, where if a guy's having a bad game, yeah, you can you can sit him down for the last couple quarters or last couple innings. Let a guy take a couple days off in baseball if he's not seeing the ball well at the plate, but then you can put him back in there. But when it's the quarterback, I just feel like that's like a different animal. I don't know why. It could be right, wrong, or indifferent for me to feel that way. But I feel like if you make this switch at quarterback mid-game, then you kind of got to make that switch going forward. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said, that could be wrong in my thinking, but that's just how I feel about that situation. And it is getting to the point, and that's the other thing too, is I'm fighting with a point of or fighting with the idea of it's still too early in Dwayne Haskins' career to whether to know to pull the plug or not.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's getting to that point where it's like we've got to see some improvement. And I will say we've seen some good examples both against Philadelphia and Cleveland when we play our game and play our style of offense and things are going good. Like they are good. They're good. But once we start turning the ball over, once we start, getting down early, those second and longs, third and longs, then we can't execute. So if we play our game, we don't make mistakes or we limit the mistakes, I think we can be in a good position no matter what the level of team is across from us. So if we can kind of stay in that rhythm and stay in that tempo, again, limiting mistakes is good for everybody. You know what I mean? That's again, not a brain buster, but still, if for this team especially, for a team that we're still trying to get off the ground, we're on the runway trying to get off the ground to make that ascension. We got to make sure that things are going as well as possible. And I think when things are going good for us, they are going good. So that's, I think, been some bright spots 2 out of 3 weeks thus far. So if we can kind of continue that, we don't have to, and that's the other thing too. I don't think we have to win this game to gain some confidence. If we play well, I think we can take a lot from this game. And I'm not big on the moral victories. I'm not good on, I'm not big on, there's some good things we can take away from this game. But in this situation, a team that's a Super Bowl contender this year, is a team that was a Super Bowl contender last year, a team that's probably going to be contending for Super Bowls for the next 3 or 4 years. If we can have a good showing against them, I think that'll do a lot for this young team.
Yeah, not to mention the last time that the Ravens played Washington in Washington was the one where RG3 got that injury that went on to
Haloti Ngata.
Yep, when that leg whip. I was actually watching that clip. They showed that on Good Morning Football. I was like, oh god, what a change of our of our season, of our the direction of our franchise. So hopefully we get back here and then we change the direction of our franchise again by having Dwayne Haskins go out there and have one of these games and resurrect the best RG3 in him, who will be on the other side of the field. Not to mention, who knows if he might even see the field. Barring, I'm not saying hopefully anybody gets injured, but who knows? RG3 might see the field before the game's all said and done. But also one thing to note just real quick too is I didn't realize this, but Terry McLaurin, he's leading NFL receiver in yards after catch right now,
Really?
by a lot. Yeah, by a lot. So that just goes to show that we need to get the ball in his hand as much as possible. We need to have some creative ways, a lot like the Chiefs use Tyreek Hill. That you got to have creative ways to get the ball inside Terry McLaurin's hand because if he's leading the NFL yards after catch, that means he wants it. He wants that ball. He wants those extra yards. So we need to give it to him.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely. I mean, in today's NFL, the way the game is going, you 100% just want to get that ball in your superstar's hands and let him work. Maybe 10, maybe 15 years ago, it was, you run your game plan. run the ball, pass on third down, run the ball, pass on third down. Now it's like you said, you want to get that ball in your playmaker's hands as often as possible in the most creative ways as possible. I think that's a great point. I didn't realize that he was leading the league in yards after catch like that. So if we can get him in the open field, get it to him, and hashtag let Russ cook, hashtag let Scary Terry cook. You know what I mean? Just let him cook. So it's going to be, like I said, it's a big time barometer game for Dwayne Haskins. I think that's going to be a decent barometer game for Ron Rivera too, to see how he and his coaching staff game plan against a team like this, because this is by far the best team we've seen, obviously this season, and probably one of the better teams we're going to see all season long. In the Ravens. I don't know how many other teams that we're going to play this year are going to be contending for Super Bowl. Maybe throw Seattle in that bunch. Maybe Pittsburgh, depending on how they can work things out, playing 13 weeks straight after this weekend. So this is probably gonna be the best team talent wise that we're gonna face. And so it'll be, like I said, a big time barometer game to see how they can game plan against it. Game plan and get this team ready and see what they can do.
Yeah, it's a huge barometer game, because the coaches, the elite teams, they show up for the good games. They have their off games. Even if they have, the elite teams show up for the big games. They show up for the spotlight. And this is one of those times. It's our first spotlight. First time getting a chance at playing one of those, Division II schools when we're a Division III school. And so you kind of see how if we ever can crack our way into the top 20, the top 25. But hey, I'm behind him, and I really hope that Dwayne Haskins, can have the week that we're all hoping of, because like we said at the beginning of the show, we kind of hinted at there. I think it's a make or break game, in my opinion, for Dwayne Haskins.
It's getting to that point, no doubt. It's definitely getting to that point. Now, it might be a little unfair for us to make this game the make or break game, just because it is such a tough opponent. But like I said, it is definitely getting to that point. Maybe next week, like I said, these next 2 weeks are going to be tough. This week against Baltimore, next week against LA. And then we got the Giants, Cowboys, Giants. Now that, I think, right there is going to be nut check time for Dwayne and for this team in as a whole. New York, Dallas, New York, back to back to back. We got the bye week thrown in there right before the second time we play Dallas. So I think that's going to be, the second time before we play New York. So it's New York, Dallas, week 8, week 9, New York. I think that's going to be big time gut check time for Dwayne and this coaching staff and this team. Again, I'm not saying that we're trying to fire Ron Rivera, but we just got to see what direction we're moving in, how we're game planning teams, how we're getting guys ready. And I think that's going to be really, really where we start seeing, what Dwayne can do. And if the coaching staff has all the faith in him that they say they do, I think that's going to be where it's huge.
Yeah. And, not to gaze too far into the future, but big if there, obviously both of us hope and want Dwayne Haskins to be this guy here, but everyone's already looking towards the draft, talking about some kid from Clemson, I forget his name, haha. But there's a lot of guys this year. I'm going to throw some names out there: Sam Darnold, Dak Prescott. There's a lot of quarterbacks out here that might not be with their team this next year. So if things don't go this way, can we see a possible trade to get one of these guys?
I think Darnold, unfortunately, he's going to be stuck in New York for a while because, he's
even if they lose,
he's good.
He is good, but this year he's shown nothing. Mind you, they don't have anything. They lost Le'Veon Bell. They have 0 wide receiver. I think Jamison Crowder is their number 1 wide receiver. But they have not a lot of support. But I'm just theorizing. What do you want to call that? Creating a
hypothesizing,
theorizing, hypothesizing, projecting into the future what that might look like.
I don't think Dak's going to get traded in division, especially to Washington. So we can probably check that off the list. Maybe if we want to pay him $45 million, we can get him. But yeah, a guy that legitimately might be a free agent after this year is Jimmy G. Depending on how San Francisco does without him, they can cut him and wash their hands of that big time contract. Carson Wentz is another guy. I think he'll probably stick around for another year or two, just so they can see what they have with with Jalen Hurts behind him. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some options out there. I'm not sold on Kyle Allen.
Yeah, I'm not to get too far ahead again. We truly believe in Dwayne Haskins, and we truly want it to work for him. But as objective, I don't want to call us the press or or just content creators, like as objective fans, objective analysts here. We got to start thinking about what's best for the franchise and for the best for the rest of the guys moving forward. So if it is not Dwayne Allen, I'm just basically my question I guess would be: are we drafting somebody else or? Dwayne Allen. We combine them both together. Dwayne Allen. If our answer is not Dwayne or Allen, do we draft another quarterback or do we go looking free agency? I guess that's a better question then.
I think Dwayne Allen was a tight end for the Colts. I think.
He was. Dwayne Allen?
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to come play quarterback, let's give him a shot. See what he got. See what he's got.
I'm saying Logan Thomas. We heard you're an old quarterback. Let's see what you got in that arm. Is anything left in that arm?
Yeah, loosen that arm up. Yeah. But yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So it's big game. Obviously, like I said, we want to see where we just stack up against the best because we're not near the best right now. We're building towards that, but it'll be just interesting to see how we get ready, see how this team coaches us, how the coaching staff gets this team ready. My official picks. Washington plus 13.5. I'm going to take 13.5 in an NFL game 10 out of 10 times. I don't care who you're playing. And then the over-under is 45.5. I will definitely take the over there. I think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. And it might be that Baltimore scores about 40 of these points, but hey, either way, I think the over is the play there. Jody, got anything before we wrap up here?
That's it. Just other than the news this week, I saw Albert Hainsworth was arrested on domestic violence, I guess. Charges.
What a shame.
I guess,
better guy.
The funny thing about the story that stuck out is apparently he was talking to his ex-girlfriend on the phone, who was there with the new boyfriend, and it was in a different, I guess, somewhere in Tennessee, maybe I forget where, but it was 200 miles away where they were. He drove. All right, tell him to wait right there. And he drove all the way there to go fight this guy. And then when they showed up, obviously they just yelled. He didn't lay his hands on anybody. He just yelled and threatened bodily harm. But then he was arrested. But I thought it was a funny story. I know we talked about him a few weeks ago.
If you drive 100 miles to go fight somebody like that, just think if you're in the same room, that anger, that flip switches or that switch flips. And you're ready to go, but no, you have to get in your car, make sure you got enough gas, make sure the tire pressure's good, and then you gotta
stop to go to the bathroom. And you're sitting there I can't wait to get there. I'm gonna kill this guy.
Exactly,
sitting there eating your ho-ho on the road.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Trying to looking up the directions and switching songs on your phone, making sure you got you're in the zone. That's just so wild. Of you just got to drive.
All singing songs on the way, like Tommy Boy over here. Love gonna love somebody told me, baby.
I'd get halfway, and be like, bro, I'm not even pissing anymore. I'm just gonna turn back around. I've been driving for an hour and a half. I'm still halfway there. But that's wild to me.
They did not say if he was wearing a diaper or not, just so you know. You do remember that story, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, that's all I got, man. That's all I would throw that in there, man. But
that is funny. I'm glad you threw that in.
Both of us, did not pick for us to win this week, in our our season prediction. Do you want to change that right now at all, or
no?
Me neither. Me neither.
I'll hold steady.
Well, that's all I got, buddy.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that'll do it for us here. Rate, review, subscribe at Apple iTunes. Subscribe here on YouTube. Ring the bell. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Especially if you are watching out in D.C., the D.C. area. If you have some Baltimore family, tell them to watch this and tell them to suck it. But that'll do it for us here. As always, you're allies behind enemy lines, holding it down for all our Washington allies out there. Thoroughly behind Cowboys territory in enemy territory until Monday. Hopefully, hey, maybe we're celebrating Victory Monday. You never know. If we're celebrating Victory Monday, that air is going to be crisp. Those colors are going to be vibrant. That food is going to be tasting great. But until then, we will see y'all. We'll see y'all Monday.
Don't forget about the melodic vibes. The melodic vibes from the birds. That's my favorite line. All right,
melodic vibes from the birds.
Take it easy, guys.